When you think of a mind-blowing hip-hop song, you have to keep in mind of a few things that could actually make it mind-blowing. And for me, there's plot twists in the mix of that. There's cool elements sonically in terms of the production and just things that actually make you realize how deep and introspective these songs are, how cinematic they could be at times. So today, that's exactly what we'll be talking about is 10 of the most mind-blowing rap songs that we've ever heard. And thank you so much to the Patreon members who actually voted for this episode. And if you guys want to have your say in future episodes, link is in the description for our Patreon plans. You can check it out. And the options this week were actually 10 most mind-blowing rap songs that we've heard, which of course won with 10 votes. Then we had who's the most creative artist in hip-hop, which got 9 votes. And then which rapper has the best beat selection of all time, which got 9 votes as well. Closest, voting poll that we've ever had. So we'll see what ends up taking in next week and if any of these topics resurface, right?
Man, I'm so down to do a couple of those, but I'm very happy that we got to do this because it's always an experience listening to a song and your mind is just left completely blown, right? Like there was times when I was a kid where I didn't dive into discographies as much or I was just getting my feet wet with, certain artists and you listen to that one song that really gets you. And there's going to be a lot of, classics on here. I feel as if Lou and I also wanted to, maybe choose songs that kind of have like different elements that make them stand out. We're going to have songs that are just so greatly produced that, they had to be on this list. And then, we're going to have songs that focus on storytelling. So there's going to be a nice amount in the mix. And the number one might, is a very, very, very deep song. I think like Nick was saying how he cried the first time he heard that number one.
I'm not sure if hip-hop fans fuck with it too heavy, but I mean, that ending is too hard to ignore. That crazy. Twist is crazy, but let's get into this list. And by the way, guys, this is not a top 10 greatest hip-hop songs of all time list. It's just songs that really surprised us and in certain cases brought shivers down our spines, in all honesty.
Absolutely. And listen, guys, before you guys get cheesed about any rankings, these could be placed at anywhere on the list. Like the 10 is just to be able to go in order and give you guys a nice experience, all right? So who starts, man? You want to go
for it? I'll start it off. So number 10, we have Runaway by Kanye West, one of his most iconic songs of all time. And it's just crazy how the E major key, which starts off the song, has become so iconic. And I feel like Kanye reinvented that key because as soon as you hear it, you know you're hearing Runaway. And I love the idea of this being kind of a backhanded apology to Taylor Swift because it sounds at surface level like he's apologizing for the VMAs incident, but in reality, he's telling the world, you have to accept me for who I am. I'm an artist and I'm going to be as creative and as out there as I will be, and there's nothing you can do to change that. So why do you appreciate this song so much?
I think it's just the impact of that E major key. Like, remember the first time you heard that? Like, what type of vibe were you going to go into? You didn't think that Kanye was going to use that drum pattern, and then you didn't think he was going to start off with that verse. And of course, that Pusha T feature is just absolutely iconic. And I also love how, yes, MBDTF has two sides to it where, he's talking about, maybe the misfortunes that come with fame, but Runaway is just a pure gloat, like to the highest extent too for me. Like also, like just seeing the way that he was able to do that, and I'm not sure. Have you ever seen the live concert?
The live concert
where he pressed that E major.
Oh yes, I think that was at the Yeezus tour, bro. That was crazy. Last thing I want to mention is the vocoder at the end. The way that song ends off with him saying nothing, and it's kind of a message for how the public misinterprets his words. That was genius, and Runaway is just one of the best hip-hop songs I've ever heard. But let's now move on to number 9.
Number 9 is a really deep song, and I just, the first time I heard Suicidal Thoughts by Biggie was, absolutely ridiculous. Like, I didn't know how to feel because of how, emotionally deep this track is, and how it was, one of the first songs in the 90s to be able to really highlight mental health. Like, add that in with the production style and the cinematic value of him being in the telephone booth and calling up Diddy.
Well, I don't know if he was in the booth. I think it was from his home, but I could be mistaken.
Heard because then you hear, I think it was the drop of the phone at the end of the song. So that's how I interpreted it. And then you also heard the rain too. So that's the way I saw it, at least. But regardless, I think that this was just crazy because think about a song and how deep it could cut. Think about like how that makes you feel after you listen to it and you understand Biggie's pain.
And it's amazing to see that like throughout the whole album, he's taking you through all the luxuries. He's taking you, through what he has, what he's obtained in terms of wealth, in terms of women. But at the end of the day, he still feels empty. He still is regretful for his previous crimes. And then he talks about how he feels so stressed. He feels like he disappointed his mother. And I love everything that Biggie poured into this outro for Ready to Die, and the fact that it's also the interlude to Life After Death is genius. And if you guys want to go through that whole album, the outro makes it all complete, so please check out that song. But moving on now to number 8, this is one of my all-time favorites, and it's 90210 by Travis Scott. I mean, what is there not to say about this song? I love how symbolic it is and how there's two parts to it, because the first part, you have Travis, who kind of is lost in this world where he's looking for an alley, and on surface level, that alley is where he can find drugs or sex, but in reality, that alley is his road to fame. He's trying to break out into fame, and the first part, he kind of sounds muffled, and we have this beautiful synth lead that plays out, and his voice is muffled. You don't hear him clearly. But the second part, even if you look at the music video, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but there's a tree sprouting.
Yes, sir.
And that kind of represents his creative evolution. And then you hear his voice so clearly, and he tells, like, he's like talking to his grandmother, saying, like, "Granny, we made it. You don't have to worry about me anymore." And just everything that Travis Scott is doing vocally here, the way that he uses auto-tune is brilliant, and I can just listen to this on repeat nonstop.
One of the best songs I've heard from the 2010 decade, and I feel so comfortable saying that. And it's also cool how, you know, that second part is kind of a parallel to his career, because he also feels as if he's accomplished himself to the point where this is it. Like 90210 was like, I wouldn't say his prime, because, like, you know, he's Travis Scott's in his prime right now for me, but this was like his moment to be that superstar. 90210 showed, you know, his evolution as an artist. It showed him, you know, going through that struggle and then eventually finding this light where not only is his creativity growing, but his, you know, his own personal mental is growing, and he's going to whole different heights. And of course, you know, this is produced with Kanye West. You know, this is one of the nicest beats I've ever heard in the trap genre. It's not even trap, for fuck's sake.
It's psychedelic trap, I guess, but
maybe with the drum patterns, but overall, like,
Casey Hill's vocals were amazing. And last thing I want to mention is that there's actually a poem that Tupac wrote called "The Rose That Grew from Concrete," and that's exactly what embodies this song. It's like Travis Scott was from an area where he thought that making it big was impossible, but he was that rose that grew from concrete and made it out, and it's a celebration of his success. And you guys have to hear the electric guitar in the second part. You have to hear Travis Scott's vocals. Everything about this song is amazing, so please check it out. But next up on this list is "I Gave You Power" by Nas.
This song is absolutely ridiculous. Probably a top 3 song when it was written for me, especially when it comes to my replay value, because the whole point of the song is that Nas personifies a gun. He's literally talking, you know, about himself as if he's a loaded weapon throughout the whole song. And, you know, I want to just shout out Primo for this beat. Like, DJ Premier absolutely murdered this. And that, you know, just that adds so much cinematic value and imagery to the overall flow of the song. I love this bar you put down, by the way, bro. This was perfect. "My body is cold steel for real. I was made to kill. That's why they keep me concealed." Like, think about that from, like, a, let's say, like a base standpoint. He just personified the gun, describing all the characteristics. But the thing is that there's an extra layer to that. Now he's actually talking about his stature in the rap game, talking about how he's meant to kill these rappers. He's coming at you with loaded and, you know, these fire lyrics. But there's also a third part to it where that's why they have to keep me concealed, because he knows that there's people that are trying to keep Nas quiet because he has the info. So who else has even done this in a song, bro? I can't think of anyone.
He might have been the first person to, like, personify an object like that. And I love how he gives human characteristics, and kind of he gives a heart to this gun, in the sense that the gun doesn't want to be used anymore, because at the end of the song, when someone gets shot with it and the gun drops to the floor, he's like, "Oh fuck, someone just picked me up." Not only that, but also he's pissed about how, like, this gun is a tool for someone's cowardly sense of power, the power they obtain from using it. So what Nas accomplishes on this song from a thematic standpoint, and like we said, I don't think anyone's ever done this.
It's crazy, man.
Anyone?
No. There's definitely not many people that have
not
done
that I
this.
can think of. At least.
Yeah, off the bat on this podcast, but for the most part, it's like it was also so, like, well done. Like, Nas's delivery just keeps you in the seat the whole time. Like, suspenseful song, full of action. But let's actually move on to number 6 right now, and this is "Perfect Circle Godspeed" by Mac Miller. This dropped back in 2015 on Good AM, and I want to say this: Good AM is probably the most underrated album in Mac Miller's discography. I have to put it like that. I think that it's personal to the point where you could go into a song like "Perfect Circle Godspeed" and Mac Miller is literally, like, talking about how, like, you know, he's on the brink of death and he has to realize how he has to get past certain things in order to be able to fulfill his full destiny and to be able to be, you know, this upgraded version of himself. So take me back to the first time you heard this song, and what does it speak to you as a person?
When I heard this, I was floored, because I couldn't believe how transparent Mac Miller was, because we've known for a while that he struggled with drug addiction throughout his, you know, the majority of his life. But to hear him on an 8-minute epic song like this, and how the production has these sound warping effects to kind of give you the feel that time is passing by so fast, really blew my mind, because he's telling a story with the beat. Not only that, but you have this dusty piano riff, you have these terrifying choir vocals, and the way that Mac Miller's tone is so passive for the first part of the song, where he kind of sounds sleepy, kind of sounds like he's trapped himself in a dark room and he's just relaying these thoughts in his mind. And he just gets really introspective about his drug use. And he also asks us, he's like, can you draw a perfect circle? Like, are you perfect? Or do you have flaws as a human? Because we all do. And I feel like maybe throughout his career, he felt like he was judged for, for his vices. So it was great to see what he was able to do here. And it was such a trippy song. Think about the soul ad-libs that you have throughout the song. And at the end, this song's heartbreaking, bro. When I heard this, even re-listening to it to make this episode, I literally got tears, bro. I got tears because he's rapping about, on the second part, Godspeed, he's like, what if I don't wake up one morning? Like I don't want to bring that heartbreak to my mother.
And then he goes into like how he doesn't want his boys to have to break it to, his mother, and then talking about how like he wants to put seeds inside of his girl and have a family and kids, but. Yeah, it's a really it's a heart-wrenching song.
Bro.
Yeah,
it's
a heavy song, and as you said, like the soundscape that Mac Miller sets up with that production is just absolutely incredible. You almost feel as if you're kind of moving on Godspeed with him. Like it's a trippy experience, and it'll leave you absolutely mesmerized. But let's move into the top 5 now. This is where we find different songs and songs that tie in concepts and songs that have some major plot twists. So let's talk about For Your Eyes Only at number 5, and this is off of For Your Eyes Only by J. Cole, 2016 studio album. Man, like going from start to finish with For Your Eyes Only, it's a very deep experience because you don't necessarily know the concept of the album until you get to this 8-minute masterclass by J. Cole, which is For Your Eyes Only, where he's talking into by different perspectives. He's also wrapping up the end of the song by talking to his friend James's daughter. Like there's like so much that goes into it. So explain us a bit about like the structure of the verses from, let's say, the first all the way to the last, and explain also how it also like it tied into the whole concept of For Your Eyes Only.
Yeah, I just love how this is J. Cole at his most poetic, and like we've seen in the past that the best storytelling tracks in hip hop are when these artists are able to put themselves in other people's shoes. And that's exactly what J. Cole does here as he goes into the shoes of his friend James, who the album is about. And I love how the album starts with For Whom the Bell Tolls, and the first thing you hear is that cassette being popped in.
Yeah.
And then on For Your Eyes Only, the last thing that we hear is the cassette being popped out. And this song is starts off with the first verse where James is actually talking about his past decisions, how he got into this life of crime.
Accepting his
fate as well. And then on the second verse, he opens up and says, like, I hope that you're not hearing this, speaking to his daughter who he made this tape for, because if you're hearing this, it means that I died and that, I wasn't able to go on and further into this journey with you. And then afterwards on, I believe, the fourth verse, you get J. Cole rapping just about how much of a good man, despite the way that he might be viewed as society because of his previous actions, he's still a good-hearted man at the core, and that there was nothing that he loved more than his daughter, who this album was made for.
Absolutely. And that's actually some of the last things that he says on this song, because he was also talking to him about how people in his community perceived him, especially with, him being a drug dealer and him having like this sort of, background to him, and him always having nice cars or being nice with the ladies. He's like, don't remember your father for those types of things, but remember him for being a good man that, loved you. And that was just beautiful because it gives you that message that life is fragile. There's so much gratitude to be had, just through life, and to be appreciative of yourself, like choose a route that you see yourself thriving in, rather than seeing yourself decay in. So I mean, For Your Eyes Only hits me every time because it's so deep. It makes you think, like, are you making the right decisions in your life? So, the first time you hear this, like, I don't even think you'll be mind blown because you have to go back and listen to it like 5 times before you could understand it. It's so deep. There's so much that goes into it, and the jazzy instrumental as well. Probably my favorite beat on the whole album, next to Change. I think those are my 2 favorite, but definitely a major standout on this list. But let's move on to number 4, and we have Mural by Lupe Fiasco.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting concept because it's kind of a bit like I Gave You Power. I think like that. It's a bit of that concept where like it's kind of out of the box, where he's kind of trying to do something that's 3D with the song, where he's trying to make you, use your imagery to a different level. So the whole point of the song is Lupe Fiasco is literally rapping, so he paints you a mural through audio. And Oh my goodness, man. This is absolutely
This
mesmerizing.
is fucking incredible, man. Like, what an
Impressive.
achievement. And for anybody who ever has counted out Lupe Fiasco out of their top 10, top 15, top 20 MC list, like, this will put him back in that conversation for you if you haven't heard Mural off of Tetsuo and Youth, which came out in 2015. Amazing
Masterclass.
album.
Oh my goodness.
And this song is lyrical annihilation. Like, you have to literally spend hours dissecting every bar for how fucked up it is. And the reason why this is a mural, because he's literally like, you know that saying, a picture paints 1,000 words?
Yes.
He literally raps 1,377 words in this song. It's fucking crazy. He goes through like 250 bars, and if you look at, there's a passage on the song. If you look at it on Genius, and you go through this part where he's just going from one homophone to the next, I'll actually read it out for you guys. I prefer girls to rain all over the world, and not rain like Rain Man, or rain like Rain Dance, or rain like a slight chance of rain when it's raining, or rain like dear slaves to Santa Claus Slay Man, but rain like queens that reign over Maid Man, and not queen like Queen Killer, Rhapsody Bohemian Queen, but queen like White Glove Wave Hand, and not wave hand like it's a heat wave. Like, this shit is fucking mind-blowing. It's like, how does he fucking do this, bro?
That sounds like it's out of a
Your
religious
favorite
book.
rapper couldn't. I'm sorry, guys. Your
No,
favorite rapper
That's
couldn't.
vicious. Okay, hold on. Listen to this. Also, like, him using that double time flow was fucking. I'm gonna read you out
Nuts.
something. I love that you included this too. As I paint cold pictures like Kool-Aid facing condensation, having conversations with flavorful combinations, slave to my concentration. So that's OJ the Juice Man meets OJ with two hands and two gloves. That's too snug to the judge who drew blood.
Bro,
Gee.
what the fuck? Bro, how did we
good.
get from Kool-Aid to the O.J. Simpson case? Like,
He paints you everything, and like, imagine trying to draw that out. Like, imagine trying to draw what you're hearing from Lupe Fiasco. You would need a mural, legitimately. And this is just like, if you want to talk about lyrical excellence and being able to legitimately paint a perfect picture through a song, it's this. I don't think I've ever heard anything as well structured or as diverse as this. The rhyme schemes are impeccable, and even how does Lupe Fiasco even rap this much in a song and not get tired, or even the voice control and the breath
flow
control
switches,
Oh
the
my
multi-syllabic rhyming, everything is spot on.
It's the perfect rap song. We'll leave it at that. But moving into the number 3 spot now, this is interesting, and we have "Stand" by Eminem, and who doesn't know this song? I have to say it. If you don't know this song, like, you've been living under a rock.
Did
for the
you
most
know
part.
that the Oxford English Dictionary has included "stan" as a noun in their dictionary?
I think
officially?
it's that impactful of a song. I think that everything about this song is perfect. All the way from the story development from each of the verses. The way that M is able to not personify, but like, the way he's able to like characterize like this character Stan in the song is just, it's different level shit. Being able to sort of make the soundscape where like it's dark, it's gloomy, and you see as each verse goes that there's this progression in not only Stan's anger but in the development of the story. So how did you like it? And when you heard that ending and like the way it was going, did you expect it to take that twist at the end of the song?
I didn't expect it at all, but I just love how human Eminem actually makes the character of Stan, because there's a logical reason as to why Stan gets to his breaking point where, he drives over a bridge into the water. You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense, because not only that, but the celebrity obsession that Stan has for Eminem is logical because he connects to Eminem. He relates to Eminem, and that's what we get in the first verse, as he says, like, oh, I know you have a daughter. My girl's about to, give birth too. Not only that, but like, you've experienced a suicide in your family. I had a friend who did the same thing. Like, you see Stan's psyche developed in such a way that humanizes him and actually makes him a real character. And that's what I appreciate about this song is, again, the progression from one verse to the next. The fact that every verse is a different letter that either Stan is writing to Eminem or Eminem is writing back to Stan. And also that hook by Ditto is just, it's so heartbreaking. It's so like unorthodox to be placed in a hip hop song, but it works.
It has such a calm demeanor to it as well. And I think my favorite part about the song too is that in Eminem's last letter on the song, he doesn't realize that, he knows who this is, and that he knows that he passed away because he had seen him, like on the news the other day. And then he's just like, damn. and like drops the whole song just drops. And it was so cool to see the way that, Eminem perceives his fame and understanding the full extent of it. And if you guys want to dive in more into the Marshall Mathers LP, like that's one of the biggest standouts for me, is like Eminem being able to be transparent with his fame and like what it actually does to people and how there's this negative impact that's going on with it. So I think for me, it's it's one of my favorite songs of all time too. If I had to put an all-time list together,
me too.
I'd put this in consideration for sure. And
is it a top 3 storytelling song of all time?
I think so.
I think so.
It just perfectly painted. Like it doesn't make sense how like dark this gets like so quick.
And I was inspired because Eminem was getting real disturbing letters in real life from fans. So it's cool to see him actually bring this story to life for us. But let's get into our top 2, guys. Okay. Number 2, I'm sure you saw a Kendrick song coming, and it's How Much a Dollar Costs off of To Pimp a Butterfly, which came out in 2015. And another storytelling masterclass here as Kendrick takes you from one piece of the story to the next right off the bat. He's pulling into a gas station, and as he's getting back into his car because he can't fill up the pump, he gets approached by a homeless man who asks him for $1. And Kendrick's not budging. Kendrick thinks that, he's going to use that dollar to buy some crack or to buy some drugs of some sort, and Kendrick's not having it. But then the man pleads with him. He says, just help me out. I'm not gonna spend the money on any fuck shit. Like, I really need that money. And then like Kendrick's like, no, you're not getting a fucking nickel from me. And then take us through that major plot twist that really shook us.
Well, then you get to a certain point in the song where the homeless man reveals that he's actually God, and that, Kendrick is having a one-on-one conversation with God right now. And he kind of like, then the homeless man tells him, just for this action, just for that $1, you lost your place in heaven. You don't have it anymore. And then it hits Kendrick like, how much does $1 really cost? Is it worth your place in society? Is it worth what's going to happen to you in the afterlife? Is all this anger and resentment worth, what's going to happen, in the future, when you come to God's feet? So it's super fucking deep the way he rounds off this message, because it's like, it's kind of explaining the butterfly effect, To Pimp a Butterfly. It's kind of like, you have to understand that the smallest of actions will have the biggest of consequences. And I think that's probably one of the greatest lessons that I've ever learned from Kendrick, because it explains you how to, make better calculated decisions in your life, how to, be able to trust people, and how to be able to be patient and have that sort of gratitude to be here on this earth and live another day. So it's crazy.
I also think that it's great commentary on greed, because like from Kendrick's standpoint, an artist who's worth millions of dollars, to have that stereotype of this guy is, just going to spend it on alcohol or on drugs. But in reality, we have to help out those people in our communities who need our help when we have that financial stability. Not only that, but I love how the song works on so many levels. Another level that it works on is the fact that God is in all of us. That's kind of how I interpreted the song, is that at the end of the day, we all have that humanity. We all have that love, that compassion in us. And at the end of the day, sometimes those stereotypes blind us from that.
And it does, and it jades you. And that's what happened to Kendrick. It's also, a lot of rappers will feel the need to be able to be macho, or to be able to, sort of, I would say like, show these characteristics that are not really them. But Kendrick, on the other hand, is showing how those characteristics in a human are the ones that block you from true enlightenment and true, knowledge. So I think that this song is mind-blowing just because of the amount of, knowledge it gives you on a different level. You want monetary value out of the knowledge, you could go into the, just the dollar of it and understanding how, something happens with it. And on a spiritual level, the whole thing about God and being able to connect with him is just on a different level with this song. But who says number one? Who says number one?
So this one, I don't know if you guys are going to agree with it for how mind-blowing it is, but this song, I heard it probably when I was like 10 years old. My brother showed me on a random like winter night, and I just remember being shook like to my core. And I had nightmares, bro. I literally had fucking nightmares, and I couldn't get that twist out of my head for so long. And it's really creepy, but it's also a very authentic and real song. It's Dance with the Devil by Immortal Technique. And I mean, it's sad to say that he's only known for this song, but he does have a great and extensive catalog. But this is probably the best plot twist that I've ever experienced in a song. Man.
It's one of the best storytelling songs I've ever heard. Like the way, how haunting this production is, and how, you see this character, climbing the ranks through the streets, and him having to perform different tasks in order to, please his colleagues that are, doing this.
His colleagues. I love that.
I'll call them colleagues. They're doing different things, and they're getting into different stuff that's happening in the streets. And essentially what happens towards the end is that for him to be able to be fully fully initiated, he has to go and violate a woman and kill her, and like that's the whole thing of it. It's really deep fucking content, and it ends up going down, and it ends up being his mom at the end of it. Like that's how fucking deep it is, because it was it was a rainy night, it was dark, you didn't see who it was,
and they put a bag over her head as well, carried over to the rooftop, and
this is all being personified.
Yeah,
like,
man,
this
the
is all being,
imagery,
like,
it's so fucking detailed, guys. You have to listen to this song because it's literally like watching a movie. Like you're able, like this is a song that, like, fuck a music video. You don't need a music video. You don't need any visual.
I wouldn't want to see
because the
music videos.
visual.
No.
There actually is an animated version of it. I haven't seen it, but I know it's out there. But the point is that Immortal Technique is able to really make you visualize it in your own head for how detailed every rhyme and every word is in this song. And not only that, but I love how the hook on this song is, devils used to be God's angels that fell from the top. And that's kind of a motif that runs throughout this song, is the fact that this can happen to anyone. Anyone can go down this path of, not being sure of where they want to go, having these influences around them that misguide them. And that's what happened to Billy, who's the main character of this song, who, starts off his journey just at 13 years old. And because of his environment, because of his circumstances, gets sucked into this gang life and ends up doing the unthinkable.
Yeah, it's really
it's deep, bro.
It's honestly, it's hard. It's even hard to talk about. Like, we were debating like putting this on the list, because it's just like, it's a really fucked up song. Like, you're gonna have to go and listen to it for yourself, and I promise you it'll blow your mind. But I think that this was the most mind blown I've ever been listening to a song. Like,
yeah, and how old were you when you heard it?
Oh man,
were you also young?
Yeah, we probably bumped it together so many times in elementary school for sure. But this is a song that's definitely not in my rotation. Like,
no, not at all.
No. I revisited this maybe like a good 10 to 15 times at a certain point in the last decade.
Last question. Out of all these songs, which one is the most in your rotation, let's say?
Oh, that's a good question.
Which one do you... Because not a lot of these, do we bump often, but they just blew our minds on first listen or also on repeated listens. But there's a lot of them on this list, but I think for me...
For me, it's like a three-way split between 90210, For Your Eyes Only, and How Much a Dollar Cost.
Interesting.
I think that's
I would
what I'm
have
doing.
to go 90210, Runaway, and I would say Mural by Lupe Fiasco.
Really?
Yeah, that song, I play it and
it's a masterclass.
I admire what the fuck he did, because you don't see that often, bro.
So guys, listen, on that note, thank you so much for watching through all of this. You guys let us know what your most mind-blowing songs are, and which one were you the most surprised at, through everything that we mentioned. Not only that, guys, but we could be keeping you updated with all of the biggest industry facts, and just doing reviews and different content on different days, and we're so consistent with our uploads, so you're going to want to hit that subscribe button. Not only that, but it's just been such a fun time doing this list. I love all of these songs. And listen, I hope you guys take this for value. So thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for watching the video. It's always a pleasure doing content for you guys. Listen, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because we're doing album reviews, and we actually have our series called Everything We Know, where we take you guys through the whole album rollout of the hottest releases of the year. Not only that, guys, but our Patreon plan is now live. You guys can access that in the bio. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.